Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to talk about a movie that I came across while searching for something to do to make a video about today. And I came across the second trailer for it. It hasn't been released in the U.S. yet, although I believe it has been released in some foreign territories. And that is a foreign film, a kung fu movie called Enter the Fat Dragon. Now, this is a remake of a late 70s film of the same name. I would assume that the late 70s film is Bruceploitation, given the title. This version stars Donnie Yen, who a lot of people would probably know as the blind monk from Star Wars Rogue One. He was Ip Man in that series. He's a very, very big name in the current martial arts community as far as acting in films go. And he is a very talented martial artist, and he is starring in this movie as what appears to be an overweight version of Bruce Lee. He's running around in a fat suit doing kung fu, which is pretty hilarious. I do enjoy that kind of an aspect of it, of seeing a fat dude beating the crap out of people and moving like lightning, because Donnie Yen is again a very good martial artist. So even though he's in a fat suit, he can still move around in a very graceful manner, which I think is really what the movie needed to nail that kind of tongue-in-cheek atmosphere. Now, I'm not going to go too much into anything that's really covered in the trailer, just because the trailer itself is just action basically from beginning to end, and they just kind of they play up the fact that Donnie Yen is playing a fat guy who can do stuff. There's a few little comedic moments that are sprinkled in there, like he's talking to a guy in what looks like the police station, and the guy says, "Oh, he's gone." He says, "What?" And he screams, and then everybody in the room kind of looks and makes him shush himself. And it's kind of like a Mel Brooks moment, which caught my eye because again, Mel Brooks had a lot of moments like that in his movies, where there would be people that would say something, and everybody would turn and say "bullshit" or something like that. So that reminds me a little bit of that. So that's kind of amusing. But the thing that attracted me to the actual the action in the trailer is it reminds me a lot of a Jackie Chan film. Now that's ironic considering this is supposed to be based off of a Bruceploitation film, which is Bruce Lee related. And Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan styles of kung fu films are very, very different from one another. Jackie Chan is very slapstick, tongue-in-cheek, very goofball. The stunts are immaculate, and the fight scenes are really good as well. But the thing is, the Jackie Chan a lot of the time looks or acts very goofy when he's doing certain things, and it's meant to be that way. It's meant to get a laugh out of the audience, like something like, "Oh, he gets cracked on the head," so he grabs his head and he overemphasizes the fact that he just got hit in the head, and then at the same time he dodges and the guy breaks his hand on the wall or something, something like that. Whereas Bruce Lee fights are very much kind of, I guess if I'm gonna compare apples and oranges, um, a Bruce Lee fight would be what I would say would be a serious one-on-one type of fight. Um, if I was gonna make kind of a comparison to it, it would kind of be like Goku and Frieza. It would be something along those lines, where it's a very serious kind of drawn out, slow, methodical fight. There are a lot of good stunts in there as well, and the fleeting action and stuff. But there's lulls where the fighters just kind of eye each other and feel stuff out, and then they go in and they try and fight, and then they separate again, which again is kind of the Dragon Ball Z formula. That's kind of the same idea. However, this film and a lot of Jackie Chan films go with the more action, continuous action, always moving, never really stopping. There's no lulls or anything in the combat, and basically it just goes until something ends it. Until whatever reason somebody gives up or somebody dies or something happens that stops the fight. That's kind of the action here, which again is a lot like Jackie Chan, where you can remember, a specific one that I remember is the ladder fight from Rumble in the Bronx, which is amazing, where Jackie Chan just uses a step ladder to beat the shit out of people, and it's an actual aluminum step ladder that he's swinging around and cracking people with. And I love that scene, but the action in this movie reminds me a lot of that, and it's kind of it. Even though, like I said, a lot of it is making fun of Bruce Lee, especially because the one of the alternate posters for this is actually Donnie Yen in a yellow jumpsuit like Bruce Lee's from Game of Death, even though the pun on the movie is from Enter the Dragon. But there's not really too much, like I said, there's not really too much given about the plot. We know that Donnie Yen is a cop. We know that he was like a martial arts master, and then he got fat. Um, and basically this is just the carry on from it, and that kind of an aspect too, the idea of like a fat guy doing martial arts, goes back to stuff like Beverly Hills Ninja and stuff like that, like old Chris Farley movies, or stuff like that, where it's somebody who obviously either A, cannot, or B, should not be doing the types of stunts they're doing, and yet is somehow kicking everybody's ass. It goes back to that kind of an idea as well, which I think is amusing, even though in this case it's a guy in a fat suit instead of an actual fat guy being subbed out for a dude in a fat suit who's actually a stunt double. So it's far less complicated than doing the opposite method of trying to teach a comedian how to fight, or trying to sub a comedian out for a stunt man in a fat suit. Um, but like I said, Donnie Yen is on full, display in this. He's in pretty much all of his fight scenes are in the, well, I shouldn't say all of them, but all the fight scenes that are encompassed in the trailer are very interesting and fast paced. They look like they take place in different areas, so that adds a thing to it as well. And that's the other thing too that reminds me a lot of the Jackie Chan film, is the improvisation of the fighting. Because a lot of the times in Jackie Chan movies, again, I go back to stuff like Rumble in the Bronx. Why is that the only one that I'm remembering right now? But there's a bunch of them. The Drunken Master, stuff like that. A lot of the times they use improvised stuff in the environment, in the fighting, to make it more interesting. And it seems like they're doing that again to an extent in this. Although they also do a couple of jokes where they have Donnie Yen. He gets a set of nunchucks, again going back to the Bruce Lee references. So it's kind of like, this reminds me a lot of Kung Pao, but in a bit more of a serious sense from the choreography, if that makes sense. And for anybody that remembers Kung Pao Enter the Fist, you know what I'm talking about. But it feels like that, but just toned back a little bit and with some better choreography, and I like that idea about it. So I'm kind of curious about that. The English trailer has them speaking in English, but I don't know if that's going to be. I would assume if there's an English version that's going to be released, it's either going to be dubbed, or they've recorded the audio in English at first, and then they're dubbing it for other languages. But I'm not 100% sure as of right now which version is going to be released in the United States, if it's going to be an English subtitled version or an English dubbed version. I would assume, since the production looks fairly high, it would be an English dubbed version, but that's just me. Um, but as usual, I'm going to link the trailer in the description below, and I want to know what you think. Do you think that this is kind of a new age type of Jackie Chan sort of action film? Do you think that it's kind of interesting to see Donnie Yen, or at least amusing to see Donnie Yen in a fat suit? Do you like kind of the nuance of it, kind of the bringing back of some of those kind of classic comedy tropes? Um, do you not care? Do you not really know anything about this? Are you not interested in Kung Fu movies or whatever? As usual, put your thoughts in the comments below. I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?